And don't expect yourself to do this smoothly in the beginning. Just ask yourself to do it. And it'll become so much smoother and so much more comfortable as time goes on.
I'm really feeling this energy, Sue, in a way I don't know if I ever have. This is quite, I want to say, eye-opening for me at the moment as we're doing this. Hello. Welcome to the Dr. Gill Show. This is where we talk about medical matters that matter to you. My return guest today is Dr. Susan Overkamp. Welcome back to the show, Sue.
Delighted to be here, Gil.
And for those of you that don't remember, Sue is a board-certified physician in family medicine, osteopathic manipulation, and in acupuncture. And we recently did a podcast interview with you on the subject of acupuncture. Mm-hmm. You have a lot of experience in training in Chinese and Oriental medicine. And you really surprised me when I said we're going to talk about acupuncture. And you told me there's actually 3 more categories of Chinese medicine or approach to health that are even more powerful than acupuncture.
That's right.
And I said, pray tell, what are they? And you said there's Qigong, mm-hmm. which is the discipline or of life energy, mm-hmm. of lacking a better translation perhaps. There's also a strong component to health from Chinese nutrition mm-hmm. and attitudes towards nutrition. And also there's the huge topic of Chinese herbs mm-hmm. and herbology. So I told you during that interview, well, Sue, you got to come back and talk to us about those 3 topics as well.
Well, thanks for the chance to do that, because these are near and dear to my heart, and I've been studying them for almost 30 years.
30 years. My goodness, what a treasure trove of information you are. So I would like to start this episode on Qigong. Let's go right for the top, the most powerful Chinese method of changing, improving, and optimizing health. Okay. So tell us again, Sue, what does Qigong mean in your opinion, your feeling?
Great question. It's made out of 2 Mandarin words, Qi and Gong. Qi is life force or life energy maybe, but not energy the way that Westerners think about it. So not on the electromagnetic spectrum, not kinetic energy, not chemical energy, but you could think of it as the quality that differentiates something that's alive from something that isn't. That's in the right direction. Actually, according to Chinese thinking, even inanimate things have qi. But for our purposes, what we're going to talk about today is people doing certain practices that help disperse unwanted, stagnant energy from the body, bring healthy energy into the body, move it around inside the body, store it in the body, and just get rid of what's no longer needed. So those are the actions of Qigong. Gong means is a general term, and it means anything that we do that's a discipline that we devote ourselves to that pays us back. So musicians know about this. Artists know about this. People who love their careers know about this. Even parents know about this. Often you can't anticipate the payback, and you don't know when it's going to come. You do this thing because it's a thing worth doing. That's the notion of Gong. And it's the same Gong to Gong Fu or Kung Fu. It's a discipline that you do because you love it and it pays you back. Yes. So Qi Gong is the Gong of moving Qi in the body and in other places as well, but we're going to start with just one's own personal Qigong practice. And that is going to pay us back.
Yes, yes. Now, when you were talking about the energy, that really made me think of a common problem I see in my patients, and that's anxiety. This horrible energy. Sometimes, I remember a few years ago, a patient called from the side of the road.
Oh, goodness.
She was coming to her appointment, and she was having an anxiety attack and had to pull over just to stop because she couldn't even drive. It was so overwhelming.
Right.
Now, I've been anxious at times or scared in the moment, but I've never experienced that. But boy, that sounds like energy pent up, going in the wrong. We in psychology we call it coming out sideways.
Coming out sideways.
Going out the wrong way or whatnot.
Right.
So can I posit that Qigong would help one with anxiety, for example, among many other things?
There's a strong possibility that Qigong would help people with anxiety. And in fact, we could do just a little breathing exercise that might demonstrate that for people. Because when people are having a panic attack or an anxiety attack, they're typically hyperventilating and their heart rate becomes greater as well. The cool thing about breath is that you can breathe intentionally, and now that I've mentioned that, everybody's thinking about how they're breathing right now. But before I mentioned that, you were just breathing without thinking about it.
Right.
So it's both autonomic and on the other side where
voluntary.
It's intentional. It's voluntary.
Yeah.
Right. So the breath is kind of the royal road to move us from an autonomic state like fight or flight, which is an anxiety attack is an example of fight or flight, into a quieter, more peaceful, if you want to call it rest and digest state, rather than this, very, very uncomfortable quality of life damaging state of constant anxiety.
So many people are taking medications and whatnot for this that are not, they don't work just on the anxiety. They change the whole brain and the whole attitude. And sometimes people look like zombies. They're on so much of whatever medicine.
Right.
You rob Peter to pay Paul.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yep. I had a little talk with my brother-in-law about that this morning. He's a practicing psychologist in St. Louis, and said that people have actually threatened to pull his license because he begins the conversation with patients who come to see him for psychotherapy, or at some point when it's appropriate, he begins the conversation. What are you thinking about how well your anti-anxiety or antidepressant is working for you?
So he's getting pushback for wanting to taper down or take people off of medicines.
To suggest, even suggest a wean. Yeah.
Oh.
And the problem is that these can be helpful drugs for certain people at certain times. Don't get me wrong.
Sure, this is not a blanket condemnation of these medicines.
No. But for many people, they just do what in medicine we call they flatten your affect.
Oh, they flatten them right out.
That means it flattens your emotions. I have had people sit in my office recently and say, could you help me with this? Because I'm on this antidepressant. It's like I can't feel happy or sad. I can't feel much of anything. It's just my life is kind of flat. So there are other ways to manage what we think of as adverse emotional states. And one of them is to really use tools that enable us to access our physiology in an intentional way. So one of the things that I do is Tai Chi sword. I'm a Tai Chi player and teacher, and one of the things we do is weapons, and I love the double-edged sword. And one of the things about having a sword is you have to learn how to wield it.
Oh, yes.
And when you have a human body, you have to learn how to wield it. We want it to be our friendly servant. We want to take great care of it. We don't want to make the body our enemy, but boy, in the middle of a panic attack or an anxiety attack, that's exactly how it feels. My body is out of my control. I don't understand what's happening to me. There's no reason for it. And people get into a pretty negative psychological state about that too.
Yeah.
So it's really important to use physiology as our friend. So in this case, we're going to use breathing, a very ordinary physiological activity, to move us from a state that is not our friend to a state that is our friend.
Oh, I would love for you to teach us more about this, Sue. Maybe you can demonstrate some of these breath techniques. It might be helpful to our audience.
I think we're going to do just one today.
Okay.
Because this really is foundational to all of Qigong and all of the internal martial arts, including Tai Chi. You could call it belly breathing. For all you singers out there, it's diaphragmatic breathing. Anybody who has learned how to breathe and use the thoraco-abdominal diaphragm, the big respiratory diaphragm here, that's what we're going to be using. I'm going to back up a little bit from there because most Americans, most of the time, are doing what we call chest breathing, and it looks like this. My shoulders come up and they go down when I breathe out. Okay.
Yeah.
That kind of breath will oxygenate roughly 10% of your lungs. It's meant to be the added 10%, not the only 10%.
Yeah.
So you can oxygenate 90% of your lungs by diaphragmatic breathing. And then if you're playing full court basketball, by all means, please, in addition, do chest breathing.
Sure.
But at rest, we want to be doing diaphragmatic breathing. That doesn't mean that you have to force your breath to change. All it means is that once or twice a day, sit quietly or lie down quietly and just practice breathing in your belly. In some weeks or months, if you do this pretty faithfully, your breath will automatically change to diaphragmatic breathing all the time. So you don't have to force the change. All you do is practice. The beauty of practice is that it becomes a subtle matrix for change in people's lives. And I have students come and tell me this. Often they'll say, well, I didn't want to come to class tonight because I was tired, and my 3 teenagers told me, Mom, you have to go to class tonight. Because the teenagers could see that their mother was benefiting. Maybe a little more mellow, maybe not quite so stressed. Not that this woman didn't have a bazillion reasons to be stressed. She sure did. She had a full-time job and was a single parent of 3 teenagers.
Well.
Okay, so, but I'm just talking about practice, why it's important. So I'm going to demonstrate this with you, Gil.
Please.
And I'm going to ask people to please never do this when you're driving your car. Please be seated quietly in a place where you're not going to be interrupted. And we're just going to remain seated for this one because this is how people are going to be practicing it primarily. Later, if they want to study martial art, they can learn standing techniques and so on. But this is the rock bottom, most important Qigong that people can practice. So I'm just going to invite everyone to sit comfortably in their chair and to rest feet on the floor and just allow your attention to come back to yourself. And when you are ready, close your eyes and continue breathing the same breath that you were breathing before I said the word breath. Just whatever for you is normal and natural right now. And imagine that you have a little inner witness, like a little reporter. And this little witness's job is not to change your breath. This witness's job is to pay attention to the breath coming into the body, the breath traveling around inside the body, and the breath leaving the body. And this little witness is just going to pay attention to the 5 qualities of the breath. How long is the breath? Not to change how long or short it is, but just how long is it? How slow is the breath? Again, not to change the pace. How smooth is the breath? How deep and how even? How long, how slow, how smooth, how deep, and how even. Once we've registered those 5 qualities of the breath, we want to just let them go. We just let go of all those thoughts about the breath. And just very simply put the breath on the mind and the mind on the breath. Just noticing the location of the breath in the body. Just quietly paying attention to the location of the breath. And now, wherever your breath is in your body, take your breath and sink it down, way, way down into your core, down into the center of the abdomen, way, way down in your body, and breathe in and out of your core. And just take your own time now, your own pace, and do some nice, relaxing belly breaths. And as you continue these nice, relaxing belly breaths, begin to return your attention to the surface of your body. Bring your mind back to this room. And when you are ready, open your eyes. How you doing, Gil?
Good. I was really chest breathing when we started this out. You know, we're trying to put together a podcast, and I'm a little natural anxiety here, or not anxiety, or at least I was wound up a little bit.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm being interviewed for a whole bunch of people to watch this wonderful podcast and the wonderful series.
Yes, I was chest breathing. It feels so much better. My belly is softer now and much more grounded. I'm sitting deeper in the chair, and I'm much more relaxed. There you go. So there's a start.
So this is a thing anyone can do. And what I recommend to people beginning this practice is that they practice it lying down. And that they are lying on their back in bed where they're comfortable. And they just put their hands on their belly. And as they put their hands on their belly, then when they're breathing in, their hands will go toward the ceiling like this.
Yeah.
And when they breathe out, their hands will just naturally fall back.
Yeah.
And don't expect yourself to do this smoothly in the beginning. Just ask yourself to do it. And it'll become so much smoother and so much more comfortable as time goes on. And before you know it, you'll find yourself breathing in your abdomen in a comfortable way. And I hope this is a good foundation for people, that it is a way to allow the body to become less tense, because when the body is tense, the qi doesn't flow very well and tends to get stuck, as you remarked earlier.
Yeah.
So doing this it's the key. It is, as my Tai Chi teacher, Sis Hager, says, it's the secret hidden in plain view.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone can do this. And people say, well, is it that easy? And my answer is, it is simple, but not easy.
Right.
What's most difficult for people is just to set aside that time.
Yeah.
So I encourage people to do that.
So there's a start on the breathing. And I notice we're not doing any counting or in for 4 and out for 4. It's just a nice, deep, relaxed belly breath is where to start.
And those in for 4, hold, out for 7,
the square
whatever
breathing.
things, those can be helpful to people. I don't want to dissuade them from that. I just want to offer this as kind of a basic thing that people can do. Any breath work, I think, is bound to be helpful, especially if you do that with a good, well-trained instructor.
Okay, so there's the start at Qigong. So take me further, Sue.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell a little bit about Qigong.
Oh, I'd love to hear.
There are over 4,000 different types of Qigong.
Oh.
And we have cave paintings in China that go back to 4,000 before the Christian era, which means these are 6,000-year-old cave paintings showing people doing Qigong.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, so it's old. It's old. And the reason it's lasted all this time is because it's helpful.
Yeah.
It's not the only thing out there, but man, is it helpful. So people will ask me, well, what about this kind of Qigong, or what about this kind of Qigong? And I'll say, well, if this Qigong helps you, great. There are some kinds of Qigong that almost everyone knows the name of, like Baduan Jin. This is the 8 brocades. Most people know this. Most people know Ma Wang Dui, which is really a tendon stretching kind of exercise. These are forms of Qigong that people have heard of, but there's so many other kinds that it's hard for anyone to know all of them. So I teach what I know. Mm-hmm. I've had some wonderful teachers, including Feng Zhiqiang, Zhang Shuixin, and my wonderful teacher that I'm going to mention next, Liang Shouyu. Liang Shouyu is an Arme monk. This is a syncretic sect between Buddhism and Taoism. And it's Chinese. He lives in Vancouver, BC now. But he is an amazing teacher. His book is called Qigong Empowerment, and it's actually 5 different books with 5 different types of Qigong in there. Taoist Qigong, Buddhist Qigong, Iron Shirt Qigong, which I will never do. It's the guys with the spears in their chest, like the Kung Fu kind of hard style kind of stuff. So there's all kinds of Qigong to practice. And this next one is just an introductory kind of Qigong. What we want to do with this Qigong is be in a comfortable space. And if you're in a place in the country right now where you won't be bombarded by cicadas, go outside, because outside usually has the best, the most flowing kind of Qi available for you. Times not to practice Qigong are in a thunderstorm or in a basement, because basements are cold and damp, and that's considered negative. And so you also don't practice in the fog. But otherwise, doesn't matter how hot it is, doesn't matter how cold it is. If it's hot, put shade or water between you and the sun when you practice to modulate the sun. Practice at cooler times of the day in the summer. In the winter, dress for the weather. I didn't really know how important that was. I just wanted to be warm when I was practicing one January. And I was living in Arnold, Missouri at the time, and it had just snowed, I don't know, maybe about 7 inches. So I was out there enjoying my Qigong. It was about 10 o'clock at night, And I looked down after about 30 minutes and the snow had melted away from my feet,
Yeah, the heat.
a lot melted away. So you can really maintain your body temperature well with Qigong. I proved it to myself once. I was an early student. I was still taking my first class at the junior college from my teacher, Justin Meehan, in St. Louis. And he had taught a Qigong that was a relaxed Qigong. And then at the end of it, you pictured your feet in warm wells of water. And I'm at this Boy Scout thing, and the sun has gone down, and it's early April, and I'm cold. So I thought, I wonder if this stuff works. So I imagined putting my feet in the warm water, and like 5 minutes later, I was doing fine.
You're warm.
Yeah. It works for people no matter how much experience they have.
I mean, there's certainly the Iceman from Scandinavia. I mean, he just does amazing things. Just with his mind, he can stay warm in amazing, extreme circumstances and conditions.
Yes, and the monks at the Shaolin Temple do the same.
I'm sure.
Kind of training.
Yeah, they're tapping in that same chi.
Yes,
we're similar.
So this one is standing, and so. Are you willing to stand with me, Gil?
I would love to stand with you, Sue. I'm
right.
loving this. I'm loving this.
Okay. Here we go.
All right, Sue. Now we are standing, and you're going to demonstrate some Qigong from a standing position. Now that we've done the belly breathing, I just can't wait to see what you have to show us.
So this is Grandmaster Liang Shouyu's Qi permeating technique. So the idea is we're going to allow the Qi to just permeate the whole body and then leave our body and go out the soles of the feet. This is an eyes open, looking straight ahead Qigong. So you just look out at eye level. You stand with your feet shoulder width apart. You don't have to worry too much right now about what that looks like, but later on, look in a mirror and see if your feet are roughly under your shoulders. And you're going to begin by allowing your hands to come in front of your abdomen below your navel. Then you're going to breathe in through your nose, and you're going to reach up and open your eyes wide and gather beautiful sunlight energy into the crown of the head. And then as you breathe out, you watch with your inside eyes. So your eyes become quieter. And you watch inside as the Qi flows through the whole body and out the soles of the feet, 3 full feet into the ground. Relax completely. Swallow your saliva. Take 10 seconds. So it's going to take me longer to talk than it takes you 1 breath cycle. So as I'm speaking, if you need to breathe on beyond what I'm saying, it's okay. So palm face palm, breathe in, eyes wide, look out, grasp with your eyes the golden sunlight, yang energy. Bring it in the crown of the head. And as you breathe out, allow the hands to drift down and watch the Qi travel through the head, the torso, the legs, and out the soles of the feet, 3 full feet into the ground. Relax completely. Swallow saliva. Take 10 seconds. Swallow saliva is an important Chinese instruction. As you do Qigong, your digestion works better, and the Chinese believe that the saliva is healing to the gut. So when you swallow your saliva, swallow it all the way from your mouth, all the way down to the center of the abdomen. Even though that's not really an anatomical pathway, you just imagine that. Palm face palm. Breathe in, reach up, eyes wide, yang Qi pouring down through the crown of the head, through the brain, the eyes, the nose, the ears, the mouth, the throat, heart, and lungs, organs of digestion and reproduction and elimination, through the bone marrow of the legs and out the soles of the feet, 3 full feet into the ground. Relax completely. Swallow saliva. Take 10 seconds. The instruction to allow Everything to go 3 feet in the ground is really important, but many people find it daunting. So I challenge you then. I live near the Missouri River. So if I feel stuck at 3 feet, I can stay 6 feet. And if I feel stuck there, I can send it all the way to the bedrock at the bottom of the Missouri River. And if that doesn't work for you, go to the molten core at the center of the earth. All right, all the way down.
Now, when I'm coming down, am I doing it one long exhalation?
Yes, with that
Ideally.
caveat that I might be speaking longer than is your breath cycle.
If I take a breath in there too, it's not horrible.
Right.
Okay.
Palm face palm. Breathe in, reach up, eyes wide. Gather that golden sunlight like you have a pitcher and you can just pour it. Allow the eyes to become soft. Look inside the body. Watch that golden light percolating through the whole body and out the soles of the feet. 3 full feet into the ground. Relax completely. Swallow saliva. Take 10 seconds. When you breathe in, allow your tongue, breathe in through your nose and allow your tongue to touch behind your 2 front teeth at the top. When you breathe out, let the tongue relax. Breathe out through the mouth. Palm, face palm. Breathe in. Reach up. Gather that golden energy into the crown. And watch. Watch that percolate through, especially areas like if you have a tooth problem or you have a lung problem. Just spend a little extra intentionality. You don't have to spend extra time, just intentionality there. Relax completely. Swallow saliva. Take 10 seconds. Now these next 3, since you know the routine, just do them at your own pace.
I'm really feeling this energy, Sue, in a way I don't know if I ever have. This is quite, I want to say, eye-opening for me at the moment as we're doing this.
All right, let's do number 9 rep.
Number 9.
So once you've relaxed completely, swallowed saliva, and taken 10 seconds, if you have no headache, no neuromusculoskeletal pain, if you have no low back problem or anything like that, come up on the balls of your feet and drop and separate from that, what you got rid of.
Because I've got roots 3 feet down, Sue. I felt them.
Excellent. Well, glad you had fun. One little change.
Please.
If you have high blood pressure, do exactly the same. Breathe in, reach up. And as you continue to breathe in, bring your hands to heart level. Then breathe out. That way you're not increasing the blood flow into the heart and increasing your pressure as much. So if you have high blood pressure, breathe in and out. Okay? That's the only difference that we make in that Qigong. Thank you so much for doing this with me, Gail.
What a delightful
really
demonstration, Sue. Well, Sue, thank you for that wonderful demonstration of basic Qigong and working with the energy. I feel lighter. I feel more relaxed. I just feel better having done that with you, Sue.
Really glad that it was fun for you, Gil, and rewarding. And this kind of Qigong usually is rewarding pretty quickly. So sometimes from their first practice, people enjoy it.
Yeah, I feel it all the way down through my feet, Sue. Just amazing.
Good. Feeling the feet is important.
Yeah. When you said 3 feet down to the ground, at first it didn't make any sense, but I felt it immediately. I mean, I felt it go all the way down into the ground. And I really felt that. I love that golden sunlight in my body. I felt it. And people say, well, is it real or not? Well, if you feel it, it is real.
So, yeah, we're using a visualization, and there are palpable effects from doing that. So if I think a negative thought about going to the grocery store, I'm not going to be too happy about going there. If I think a positive thought about going to the grocery store, I can enjoy it. So what I think affects how my body feels. It might even tire me out or energize me. And I think everybody knows this, kind of at least intuitively, that the kind of thoughts you think are important. Someone asked one of my grandmasters, Feng Zhiqiang, Master Feng, what do you train when you train Qigong and Tai Chi? He said, I train character. So this is about learning how to befriend the body, how to help it be the good servant that it's meant to be, how to cherish it, how to understand it, and turn around some of those Queen Marys that a lot of us are experiencing.
Queen Mary meaning a heavy ship that's hard to change direction.
Like anxiety. That's a hard one.
Or a container ship in Baltimore Harbor.
Oh, goodness
Going
sake.
the wrong way.
Yeah.
And the destruction it can create.
Right.
Wow.
So, yeah, we need to learn how to befriend ourselves, our whole selves. And I think Qigong is a great way.
Develops, works on character. I love it. So let's put a finer point on, I guess there is no difference between Tai Chi and Qigong. I guess Tai Chi is just a subset or a type of Qigong practice. Is that fair?
It is. Tai Chi is a form of martial art, so it can be used martially. It is a form of Qigong, and it is one of the more difficult ones to learn. So there are certain types of Qigong that take a lot of practice and study to learn, and some that are simple, like the two that we did today. Okay. And those, if people never do anything but those two, they can become amazing, amazing Qigong practitioners. Once a person can do this sort of thing, they could even become like a hands-on healer or something like that. If people do want to take their practice in that direction, I recommend that they have a teacher. I also recommend that people always ask other people's permission. That's really important ethically.
What do you mean permission? Permission for what?
Well, if somebody says, my knee really hurts, you don't just walk up there and start chi-ing their knee.
Oh, yeah, right.
You say, I have this available. Would you like for me to do this? Can I touch you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And with Qigong, a lot of times we're off the body, so we're not even asking permission to touch. It's just important to always have people's permission where we're on or off the body. It doesn't matter which.
Gotcha. So there's 4,000 types.
4,000 types.
4,000 types. What is wushu? Is that just the pure martial art?
Wushu is Gong Fu, and it's Tai Chi is Gong Fu, and it's martial. Yes.
It's just more the goal is to be a fighter.
So it takes years to become a good Tai Chi player, for instance. And when I taught Tai Chi at the junior college in St. Louis, my students would just say, oh, this is so difficult. This is really difficult. And so we would just practice over and over and try to befriend the practice. And about halfway through the class, they had to have a midterm. So, I would try to make that a friendly test. And then afterward, the very next class, I would say, okay, so it's time for truth or consequences, right? All of you signed up for Tai Chi class because Tai Chi is so cool, right?
Right.
And they're like, right. And I said, but what you really wanted was to learn Qigong. And they said, absolutely. Qigong is so much easier to learn than more complicated forms of Qigong like Tai Chi. So it never hurts to learn Tai Chi. Tai Chi is amazing, and I recommend it to everybody. It's a moving form of, Grandmaster Feng says Tai Chi is a moving form of standing meditation. So that's just standing when we're breathing in the belly. So it's a moving form of meditation.
Fantastic. Well, I guess we've only scratched the surface here, Sue. So if someone wants to learn more about Qigong, where can they get this type of information? Where can they find the teachers?
I would be very happy for people to contact me. I know teachers in the Midwest and sometimes outside the Midwest, and I'm a teacher. About teachers, I'll say not every teacher is the right teacher for you. And so don't be afraid to study with different people. And if I can help give information, please contact me and I'll be happy to do that.
Fantastic. Well, this is Dr. Sue Overkamp at Door to Door Medicine here in Columbia, Missouri. Thank you, Sue, for another enlightening discussion on this fascinating topic of Qigong. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gil.